the topic I did my research with is the value of English for undergraduate students in Dhaka. In these three aspects: work, education, and respect in the community. Well, in introduction, what I'd like to, what I did actually, the English for social development and social respect case, that was like to get international aid. It shows like in Bangladesh, like to get in, Bangladesh is a developing country. In this case, Bangladesh needs lots of international aid. So the research shows like to get international aid, there is no alternative than English. Then for the community development, for example, UNESCO, UNICEF, and WHO, they set some sort of rules for, social wealth, for example, wealth, development at the same time, like safety issues. For example, in terms of COVID-19, there are lots of articles published which are found in English mostly. So for Bangladeshi people to know those things, I think there is no alternative than English in terms of getting those assistance line. And world perspective, for example, in India, they have like 200 languages, English and Hindi, which dominates the entire country in terms of like social wealth, social development, social respect, all the cases. Like. And then comes like social status, community and social status on campus, for example. So this what it shows, like people who speak good English or they know English well, they are respected in the community. The community they live, the other communities like on campus when they are at university, so the community comes with like their friends, like their teachers, so everyone respects them well. English in the job market, in the world perspective in Bangladesh. For example, for good jobs, in Hong Kong, one example I have shown here, for top management job, you do have no alternative than English. If you know English well, then you can expect to get a job in the top management post in the Hong Kong case, one of the examples. In terms of Bangladesh, if you do not know English well, you do not have a jobs in the bank, or you do not pass the job interview, and for BCS, that is called civil service cadre, there, for Bangladesh civil service cadre, there, if you are not good English, you do not get that jobs there. English for higher studies, in world perspectives and Bangladesh perspective as well. World perspective, when it comes in India, all levels of education in English. If you are born in India, you will see that, you do not, English is the only way to get your education there. It's from primary school to the university level. Everywhere you have all levels of education in English provided. In Pakistan, all universities offer higher education in English. So, in terms of Pakistan, Pakistan case, like what it shows, like if you study primary school, you may have like both mediums, English and Urdu versions there. But when it comes to university, you have no alternative than English. English is the only medium of instruction at the university. And in China National Entrance Exam, as far as the research says, like for the national entrance exam, that you have to be good in English or you do not pass that. For Bangladesh perspective, like public university, they follow both medium of instruction, both medium of education, English and Bangla both in public university. When it comes for the private university, you have no alternative, only English is there. So it means if you just read the books, that will be always English. If the professor gives the lecture, that is always English. If you sit for the exam, everything comes in English. So to do well for for your higher education, it seems you have no alternative than becoming good in English. Significance of this study, well, let's say what I have seen, like over 1 billion people feel the material significance of English in the world and in Bangladesh as well. For electronic business, what it says, the study, and at the same time my interview outcomes, which says if someone wants to do like a business, for example electronic business, which comes to like selling computers, selling like mobile phones, like these items, someone has to have at least minimum understanding in English, because things are written there, the instructions are there, everything is in English. For giving tuitions, like the research findings and the interview findings, that shows like many of the students in Bangladesh, they give private tuitions. So those who are good in English, they have the upper hand all the time, and they earn lots of money. For higher education at university, that's what I already mentioned. You have no alternative than English, and even for the public university, one interesting thing is that subjects which has high value in the market in terms of getting jobs are taught in English. In job market and social respect, in every cases, you have no, option if you want to get in English to get those things. In the literature review, the things I have like covered, like the expansion of English, that what it says like over 1 billion people use it as either a global language or a foreign language or official or second language. English has, these are the terms used in various countries for business, for navigation, science, technology, academia. See, one interesting thing I'd like to show in terms of Bangladesh here. If you want to get into the social media, for example, if you want to open a Facebook account, there are two ways at the moment you can write your names, everything to open the account in Bangla and English as well. But at the very beginning, then you have to choose the language that comes in English. So English is everywhere. You have to have at least a minimum understanding of English, or you get someone else help. Power of English. I'd like to show the power. The power English has, like in 2000, the research shows in 2000, English was the dominant language of the internet that was found in this research. So in 2000, English was the dominant language. There are so many languages in the world. So far, I know like over 3,500 languages. Among them, English is the dominant language. That is the report 2000 or 20 years ago anyway. Worldwide, 1.4 billion people living in the countries where English has official status, like including Bangladesh here. 1 out of every 5 in the world use English with degree of confidence. And then comes over 70% world scientists read in English. 70%. And 80% world's mails is written in English. That's a report found in this literature. Almost every country of outer and expanding circles teach English in secondary. Like in Bangladesh, English is used as a foreign language at the moment. And it starts from primary school at the very beginning. Even interesting thing is, I should say, every Bangladeshi child first they learn the English alphabet, then the Bangla alphabets. Social value of English throughout the world. In China, that what it shows, English presents the social status of the users. Someone who knows English in China, for example, he is thought to be from upper class. That's what the other people think that the literature shows. In Mexican community of Mexico, speakers of English placed into the highest category of the middle class. So in Mexico, that community, Mexican community, which shows like in their community, someone knows English, he is thought to be someone from upper class, upper middle class anyway. In India, mother tongue instruction becomes a concern because of English. Like it's interesting. In India, they have like 28 languages over. People use English so much that their mother tongue, which is Hindi, it becomes a concern for them because they do not speak that language in even their home when they talk to their parents. So researchers at the same time, local people, they are concerned about the mother tongue issues. In Turkey, English is the sign of an educated person. In Turkey, what they think like someone knows English, he is thought to be educated. That's the same in Bangladesh as well. English remains a ladder to better future, believed by Korean parents. That is interesting. That research part, and in his research it shows like Korean parents, they believe if their children know English, that is the way they can make friends with foreigners, especially it comes with like native speakers of English, and that is a ladder to go up, success in their life. In Pakistan, what it shows, English is used more by upper class people. So when someone is speaking English when someone is sent to speak English in Pakistan, people think, that is the same for the other cases as well, people think that he is from upper class. And actually it is the truth anyway. In Saudi Arabia, students of Taifa University feel English should be used to teach in class. So that research shows they feel the material importance of English, and that's why the students feel that they should be taught in English. In Jordan, English has become a language of prestige among high school and university students. So see that everyone and everywhere in every corner in the world, they feel the material significance of English. In Anglophone countries, English is associated with white-collar jobs. But the thing might change these days after the Brexit. you know, English in the international job market in India and Philippines show a huge demand for graduates with English skills for call center jobs. So they're in short of finding people for call center jobs or to be onshore. Then in Bangladesh for managerial jobs, English is a requirement. It's like you want to do any good jobs in managerial post, which requires like, you know, working with computers, doing lots of management works, that you need to have the English, and even joining international meetings. So you need to have, I mean, the English is a requirement there. In the USA, it shows the migrants with good English skills earn more money. That's the research shows. In Africa, English outweighs Afrikaans, that's one of their language, for more efficient jobs. So see, in Africa, it shows like Afrikaners do not have that much value in terms of, I mean, job market than the English. English outweighs that. In the Middle East, 32% job advertisements looking for bachelor's degree in English, linguistic education for teaching jobs. That is fine, but one interesting 32% job advertisement that comes in English, and most of the job advertisements are there in English. English in the international job market. Let's see, I'd like to show the examples of Malaysia here. Proficiency in English is thought to be the power of nation's K economy in Malaysia. So think about like Malaysian government, like Malaysian people, they think if their graduates are not good in English, that is a waste of like that education. So in this case, they also aspire for the, graduates to be good in English. And in China, English is perceived as a bridge to future both inside and outside of the country. So what this research shows, like, it is perceived by everyone or the researchers at least that English works, helps the graduates and students, for example, to make the bridge and to develop their future both inside in China at the center out of the country. English for higher education for world perspective. See, in Pakistan, that's what I said earlier as well. English is used to teach at universities for bachelor's and master's. So in terms of Pakistan, you think about higher education for undergraduates and for the graduate level and for example, PhD levels. You have no alternative than English. English is the only. So it means students whose base is strong from the elementary level, for example, they have always great chance of making good results at the university. In India, English is used to teach all levels of education for learning for instruction. So, from school, college, university, everywhere you go, you have to face English there for either to receive the lectures or even sitting for the exams, and everything that is in English. In China, that's what I said earlier as well. English has become a prominent tool for success from higher education to desired position at work and social mobility. So in China, they feel the same material significance of English, for higher education, at the same time for getting a good job, you need to know English. Knowledge in English language works as a conclusive factor for success, as most textbooks found in English. So here, for this research shows knowledge in English language works as a conclusive factor, success most textbooks found in English. That is actually in terms of Middle East cases there, because many countries, for example, in Jordan cases, like textbooks are found in English there, so you have no alternative than English. English for higher education for world perspective, that's the two anyway. In China, that's what I think I said earlier, students from non-English majors of first 2 years of university are taught English as a compulsory course, and third and fourth year as elective course. That's research is found in there, Chen, Zay, or Gao, anyway. In South Africa, in 1970, that is an interesting thing, and they felt the material significance of English back in 1970, along with others anyway. So that shows young South African and Coloradoans voted for a right to education in English. So they felt the importance of English very earlier than today that we feel in some countries like China, Malaysia, or some other countries. English in Bangladesh, that now comes to the point of Bangladesh. English is used as a foreign or second language taught public schools from grade 1 and for instruction in many private schools. So in terms of Bangladesh, every children has to, when they start their academic life from the year 1, for example, class 1, I mean, they have always 200 or 100 marks in English there. And university, particularly private university, you have English is the environment for instruction, for reading books and everything, and sitting for exam, even for passing the entrance exam test as well, in public university as well. Many employers, particularly private companies, look for graduates with skills in English. So, in terms of public, private sectors, like it comes with multinational company, foreign companies, and local and both multinational companies. If you are good in English, you have the chance of getting good jobs there. And at the same time, because of the company owners, I should say employers, they are looking for English speakers there. People or graduates with good in English. People show high respect to English users in Bangladesh as well. It is someone good in English. He is thought to be educated, he is thought to be talented, he is thought to be from upper social class, and in reality it is the truth anyway. Social value and social respect of English in Bangladesh. English assists in gaining high social position and personal establishment. And then comes English offers prestige in the society. These are all the things that I said. English has also been associated with the improvement of lifestyle. I need to explain this one. Someone good in English has multiple opportunities to grab from the society. It comes to like grabbing the job, and then if someone doesn't get a job or doesn't want to do the job in a private company or in a public company, he can run his own institution. In terms of the research, at the same time from my interview, it shows people who are good in English, in this case people meant like undergraduates, they earn lots of money by giving tuitions, going home to home. Even sometimes some people, they have run privately institutions where they teach English and earn lots of money. So that helps them with financial freedom and establishment at the same time. Learning to speak English is viewed to be a matter of pride for one in the community. So even it is among the undergraduates, among the people, they feel when they learn English or when they can speak English, that is a matter of pride for them because they get respect around. The English language shows certain superiority of the people who speak it. That it shows like people who are good in English or who speak English in Bangladesh, they have always upper hand from the other people. In terms of getting social respect, in terms of ruling the society, they become the power points in terms of everything, like ruling at the same time, like job in every case, getting respect as well. Social value and social respect of English Bangladesh. English upholds one's social dignity, self-esteem, respect in the society. English users are perceived to be educated and intelligent. That's what I said earlier. Degrees like BA, honors, and masters in English are spoken with high respect. That's what it shows. Like in Bangladesh perspective, these degrees, particularly like BA honors in English and masters in English, are pronounced with high esteem, high respect. So what it is, like people who study doing BA honors in English and doing masters, they are respected everywhere, wherever they go, because these two subjects are valuable in Bangladesh, because they believe once they finish their studies, they have a bright future ahead. Importance of English in the job market of Bangladesh, like good command in English plays an indispensable tool in the job market. That's found there. Good communication skills highly appreciated in competitive market, and good grasp of English assists finding more respectable jobs. Now, to explain about more respectable jobs, respectable jobs in terms of Bangladeshis mean jobs which deal with working in the office where you have the computer and there is no physical labor, and that is like someone has to work in the outside. So jobs in the inside office are regarded as respectable jobs, and job gives lots of money and social respect. And in this case, if you do it in the government sector or in the private sector as a manager or someone like as a CEO or an executive officer, any post you hold in the private or government sector, you are respected. Private companies look for potential candidates with sound skills in English. That's what. And for managerial jobs, that's what I said earlier, English is well expected from job seekers. So if you think about working as a manager in any company or you want to enroll yourself there, I mean, English, the interview that you have to pass. Universities offer higher education in Bangladesh, like, well, at present, the study shows 44 public universities and 105 private universities, and 90 of them offer higher education in Bangladesh at the moment. That is scanned in Bangla Tribune, is a Bangla newspaper there, 2020. Aliyah Madrasa provides first year income degree. Okay, now Aliyah Madrasa, that's what deals with like actually Arabic at the same time Bangla. So Fazil and Kamil, which is equivalent to Fazil, equivalent to like BA honors, and Kamil equivalents to masters. So in there, they have all types of like, they study English, they study Bangla at the same time. They have major, I mean, they focus the Arabic studies at the same time. Private universities follow English medium curriculum for instructions. So as I said earlier, in private university there is no Bangla. I mean, only medium of instructions in English. Public universities teach both medium, but high value subjects are taught in English. Okay, what is high value subjects in terms of Bangladesh perspectives and in terms of like in public university? Like subject which has high market value, it comes with law, English itself, and BAs, I mean subjects like business administrative related subject, because this sort of subject, once they study, they have a high chance of getting jobs. Okay, now I'd like to talk about methodology that's I used for doing this research. Qualitative research was followed by Mary, structured interviews, that is Arling et al., and qualitative research for more knowledge like research notices. What I use like gestures, jokes, tone of voice, verbiage, because solid voice, response time, and body. That's what I use to make the participant at ease. Qualitative research for its benefits and importance. That's what I follow. For that, I followed Phylum. And benefits for semi-structured interviews, digging out deep-rooted answers, offers way of gathering excellent information. Okay, methodology, thematic analysis. For thematic analysis, I followed Braun and Clarkey. And in the methodology, what I did, there are 40 interview participants, and interview conducted at the time period was 17 January to 27 January, 10 days. That is actually the time I went to Bangladesh. That is actually interesting things. That's actually the time was when the pandemic hit in China first, and interview location is in Dhaka. Interview was conducted in Bangla because Bangla is the first language of the participants, and most of the people speak in Bangla. In terms of ethical issues like anonymity, storage of audio, transcription of data considering anonymity, numbers instead of names, participant age and university code as real. So here I do not give the person's real name data, I just use numbers, and I have all the audio storage saved in my personal file. It's always available there, no one can reach except me. And okay. And participants, like as I said, 40 participants. Among 40 participants, 3 participants from English version. English version means the student, they study everything in English, but the curriculum, everything is in Bangla. That's translated books, English translated books. And 4 participants from English medium. So English medium students, what they study everything in English, and their curriculum, everything actually is provided by UK, Cambridge University, that's what they follow. And 33 participants from Bangla medium. They all of the among 40 participants, they study undergraduates in different universities located in Dhaka. So 33 participants are from Bangla medium. What I mean actually, 33 participants from Bangla medium, actually their early studies was Bangla medium. And among them, 20 males and 20 females, so equal numbers. Lowest and highest age of the participant was 19, the lowest, and 27 is the highest. Interesting, and the mean age was 22.025, please. Data analysis. Other articles explain about the thematic analysis like flexibility, code frame, stocking, accessibility and flexibility of the data analysis, that Braun and Clarkey, familiarization, coding, and generating themes, reviewing themes. That's what I followed Braun and Clarkey. Well, here I did like first when I did the interview, what I did like familiarize the same thing and then coded first interview, it was like interviewed in Bangla and then transcribed in English. And then I started coding and generating themes and reviewing themes and come with like summarizing themes and big thing. I mean, many themes come with the sub themes come into the themes, and then I have the writing up done. Reliability and validity, like questions have been collected from valid sources that are linked at all. From that research, the questions were taken and pilot. 10 boys were, there were 10 boys, 10 participants, 6 boys and 4 girls, international Bangladeshi students. They study 2 universities. One is like Woosong University, the other one is Kyangsan and Woosong, Bangladeshi students. So their first language is Bangla. Then I conducted first, the piloting was done in English. So when I did the piloting in English, it seems like the participants have like a tendency of showing the language, English, competency. So that comes with like an understanding that I may not get my required data. That's what I'm after. Rather than they're showing more of their English skills. That's why I changed my mind and did the interview in Bangla. The piloting helped me, and pilot project held in Dijon and Woosong. That happened exactly 2 months before the real interview held in 17 to 27 January. Please. Limitations. I have some limitations into the thesis, like only undergraduate university students participated, because if students from postgraduate, even from other fields like those who finished and now doing jobs, they could give more information about the value of English in those respects in Bangladesh. Literacy in Bangla and computer skills were also ignored, because it shows like computer skills from some articles like also help in getting good jobs, but English is always there, needed. Students of Dhaka were targeted only, so only the students who study in different universities, both public and private, in Dhaka were targeted for the interviews, and they were the interview participants. I didn't bring students from the other cities or other major cities or in the village. And Fazil and Kamil students have been left out. They study in Dhaka and Madrasa, but they haven't been brought into the interviews. Other major cities have also been left out, so I didn't conduct. Results and discussions. What it shows in social perceptions, like it shows students who are good in English, they are thought to be educated, talented, smart, and their class levels, they are thought to be from upper class. And social development case for social welfare, local and international community. What it goes like local and international community, like people, those who are good in English, they can easily connect with the international community, because in international community, what it means, like there are lots of Bangladeshi, they live in different countries. So when they live there, their root is Bangladesh, their children, they learn that language. And for example, many of them, in terms of choosing living in abroad, they choose always English-speaking countries, and that comes the first priority. So it shows that they know English. So when they talk to their local community people, like their relatives, like their grandparents, English is the medium of instruction. Medium they follow. Promotion of culture, if we know English, it shows from the interview data and from the literature as well. When people know English, they can promote their culture, because they can easily integrate with other people, countries' people, and then they help teach their cultures and learn the other cultures as well. Linguistic, that is interesting. Like these days, graduates and undergraduate students, they have a sort of certain tendency of speaking English a lot. They believe speaking English, upholds their dignity, and that becomes a linguistic threat for Bangla, because these days it shows people love speaking with code switching. When they speak a sentence in Bangla, there are lots of English words comes there. So it becomes linguistic threat for people, for Bangladesh. Sub-themes like their government sector, in terms of government sector and jobs, like if you good English, you get jobs in foreign ministry where English is used always, education ministry, economic census, that has to be done in English. Promotion, you are good in English, you get promotion easily. You want to write in English, you have to write emails, you have no alternative than English. Faxes, memorandum of understanding, that is always done in English. So for working on doing these sections, like you have no alternative than English. Then comes private sector. you're good in English, you have a higher chance of getting promotion, and that it also gives a job security. You're good in English, you have a chance of getting jobs in multinational company, foreign company. In orange sector, I need to explain orange ready-made garment sector, like clothing sector, where English is the medium of instruction because lots of buyers comes, so you have to deal with them in English. English medium schools, you are good in English, you have a chance of getting jobs in English medium schools. Okay, and then comes like higher education. So in public university and private university, in public university they follow both English and Bangla, both medium for higher education. I mean they provide both, they follow both. And you are good in English, you have a higher chance of making good results, that's what it shows. High value subjects in public university, as I mentioned earlier, high value subjects like law, in terms of Bangladesh perspective, law, business studies, English literature and language. These are the subjects are taught in English there, in public university. And popular, and it shows like students who are good in English, they are popular among friends. I mean, you know, people love, I mean, friends love to make friendship with them, they get along with them, and that's what it shows. Like. And in private university, that is, I said earlier a couple of times that English is the only curriculum there. Books found in English, like you want to study the books there, that's all everything is in English there. And one interesting thing is that, as I said, 33 participants in the interview shows they're from Bangla medium studies. So many of the students, when they go for higher education, they're found to be weak in English because their medium of study that they did back, I mean, when they were at school, it was in Bangla. So which made things like some universities to start a remedial English course just to develop their English. And it shows students who are good in English, they have a higher chance of making good results because as they have to write scripts in English. In conclusion, it was found that knowledge in English language assists in finding employment, in assessing higher education, in gaining respect in the community, and other things that participants had high but not total agreement like livelihoods. Because if someone is not good in English, at the same time, if he migrates some countries like in Middle East, for example, by earning lots of money, he can also develop his livelihoods. In government sector, it's not always English, but for high position like BCS, as I mentioned, and for first class job, like you need English, but for sort of low jobs where you can still get lots of money, but you do not need English in governments, that sector. And cultural outlooks. And some participants in the interview said that doesn't hurt our culture when people speak English. Some said yes. So there is not 100% agreement in these sectors. Impact of the study. Students to focus on English language development. That's what I think they should, because if they don't, they suffer. It will be really hard for the universities to help every student to attend to the remedial classes. So in that case, I suggest like they should do it earlier from the school so that they can easily adapt to higher studies. Institutions to launch English language development course. So what I think, like institute launch English language development course, because as it shows, many of the students found to be weak in English. So in this case, it is always good for universities if they launch English language development courses side by side their university courses to develop, and they should make it like mandatory on campus in a sense, so that everyone develops their English, because it helps in their education at the same time later life in jobs. Strengths, weakness, and limitation of the study, like quality method was followed, semi-structured interviews in which like it was easy to ask questions which was not even set based on the points. And weakness, only quality method was followed. Mixed method was followed. Probably the outcome could be better. More data could be found. And limitations, another limitation is only 40 undergraduate students were, covered in the interview. Implications, like what I think, English teachers of high school and college should be more efficient using English. What in this case I mean, like when they go to university, they have to face like English total English curriculum, like which comes like giving lectures in English, listening to lectures in English. So if they have the habit of doing these things from early classes, like from class 6 to class 12, so that will not be a hard, this will help students to easily get to understand university lectures. Remedial course should be available. I think it should be available for every students, those who are weak in English, because it really helps to develop their basic, and that helps them make good results in university and become good in English. Government and community leaders to initiate English language development project for community members. The research from the literature, at the same time my research finding, interview shows there's some people, they face difficulty paying bills because electric bills, computer, phone bills, that comes in English. So many community people, they go other people, those who understand this, and take their help. So if the community leaders, they initiate some courses to help people, local people, to understand, develop their basic English, that can help, that will make them, believe in, or that will make them become confident, then they can easily pay these bills. And it shows from my research finding, at the same time the other literature, it shows like medicine, when doctor prescribe medicine, that's always in English. So many people, they make mistake and taking wrong medicine and suffer, tremendously, I should say, and that gives a kind of threat for them. That is a kind of threat. In that case, I think if they are good in English, it helps them read the medicines and prescriptions as well. Local language centers for poor students, there in Bangladesh is a developing country. In that case, there are many people, children, I should say, they do not have that access to education, which is easily found by or grabbed by the rich family background kids. So for poor students, to help them develop their English, as it is very important in Bangladesh perspective these days, and in future it is expected. So I think for equal development of the country, poor students, those who cannot afford to learn language like English, they should be provided, should be given help to get to develop their English, and that community leaders to play the part. Further research on effects on English for social development is required, because it shows like for social development, English is not much needed, as 98% people speak in Bangla in Bangladesh. Okay, one interesting thing is like, if you have any further questions about this project, please feel free to email me at ronnietheman@gmail.com. I will be appreciated to answer all of your questions regarding this project. And thank you very much. Thank you.